Think like a millionaire. Your mind runs on an operating system just like a computer. Right now, that system is probably programmed with employee thinking, trading time for money, believing resources are scarce, and hoping someone else will create opportunities for you. But millionaires run on a completely different operating system, one built on leverage, compounding growth, and finding asymmetric advantages everywhere they look. Most people never examine the mental software running their financial decisions. They inherited their money operating system from parents, teachers, and society without questioning whether it actually works. The employee operating system served the industrial age well, but it creates an income ceiling that keeps you trapped in linear thinking. You work more hours to make more money. You save pennies to accumulate dollars. You wait for permission to take action. This system guarantees you'll never break free from trading your life energy for small, predictable returns. The millionaire operating system works entirely differently. Instead of trading time for money, millionaires create assets that generate income without their constant presence. Instead of thinking scarcely, they see abundance and opportunity everywhere. Instead of waiting for permission, they create value first and ask questions later. This fundamental shift in mental programming changes everything about how you approach money, time, and opportunity. Think of your current habits as inputs feeding into your mental system. These inputs get processed through your beliefs and assumptions, creating outputs in the form of actions and decisions. Those outputs determine your income level. Most people focus on the wrong end of this equation. They try to change their results without changing their inputs or upgrading their processing system. That's like trying to run advanced software on outdated hardware. It simply won't work. 1. Install the Millionaire OS. The Millionaire operating system processes the same information everyone else receives, but reaches completely different conclusions. When others see problems, millionaires see market opportunities. When others see competition, millionaires see proof of demand. When others see risk, millionaires calculate expected value and place intelligent bets. This isn't about being smarter or more talented. It's about running better mental software. Your current operating system probably includes scripts like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "You have to work hard for everything you get." These aren't universal truths, they're programming, installed by people who never learned to think like millionaires themselves. Every limiting belief about money acts like a virus in your mental operating system, corrupting your ability to see and act on wealth-building opportunities. The replacement operating system starts with 3 core principles that millionaires understand intuitively. First, leverage multiplies results, without multiplying effort. Every millionaire learns to use other people's time, money, knowledge, or attention to amplify their own actions. Second, compounding turns small, consistent actions into massive results over time. Millionaires think in terms of systems and processes that improve automatically. Third, asymmetric opportunities offer unlimited upside with limited downside. Millionaires actively seek situations where they can't lose much but could gain everything. These principles sound simple, but they require fundamentally rewiring how you evaluate every decision. Instead of asking, "How much time will this take?" you start asking, "How can this scale without my time?" Instead of focusing on immediate returns, you optimize for compound growth. Instead of avoiding all risk, you learn to take calculated risks with enormous upside potential. The feedback loop between your mental operating system and your results creates either virtuous or vicious cycles. Employee thinking generates employee results, which reinforces employee beliefs about what's possible. Millionaire thinking generates unusual results, which opens your mind to even bigger possibilities. Most people never escape the first cycle because they don't realize they have the power to upgrade their mental software. Installing new mental software requires the same discipline as building any other skill. You must consistently catch yourself running old programs and consciously choose new responses. When you automatically think, "I can't afford that," the millionaire operating system asks, "How could I afford that?" When you instinctively want to save money, the millionaire system asks, "How could I invest this for higher returns?" When you default to trading time for money, The millionaire system searches for leverage opportunities. The most successful millionaires track their thinking patterns just as carefully as they track their financial numbers. They notice when they slip back into scarcity thinking or victim mentality. They actively reprogram their mental software by studying how other millionaires think and make decisions. They surround themselves with people who challenge their assumptions and expand their sense of what's possible. Your environment constantly tries to reinstall your old operating system. Friends and family members who mean well will discourage you from thinking differently. Society rewards conformity and punishes unusual thinking. The media fills your mind with scarcity stories and victim narratives. Installing the millionaire operating system means becoming selective about what information and influences you allow into your mind. The transformation happens gradually, then suddenly. At first, thinking like a millionaire feels awkward and foreign. You'll catch yourself reverting to old patterns dozens of times per day. But as you consistently choose millionaire responses over employee responses, the new thinking becomes automatic. Eventually, you'll find yourself naturally seeing opportunities where you once saw only obstacles. Your income will start changing before you fully believe the new system is working. You'll notice yourself taking actions that your old operating system would have considered too risky or too ambitious. You'll start conversations you previously would have avoided. You'll see possibilities that were invisible when you ran on employee software. These small shifts accumulate into major changes in your financial results. The millionaire operating system isn't just about making more money, it's about becoming the kind of person who naturally creates value for others while building lasting wealth. This mental upgrade affects every area of your life because abundance, thinking, and leverage seeking become your default responses to challenges and opportunities. Right now, examine the recurring actions you take every day and every week. These habitual behaviors reveal which operating system you're currently running. Actions that create compound growth over time indicate millionaire programming. Actions that produce linear returns show employee thinking. Actions that waste time or money indicate corrupted software that needs immediate replacement. The millionaire operating system isn't a destination, it's a continuous upgrade process. Even successful millionaires constantly refine their mental software to handle new challenges and opportunities. The difference is, they've learned to think systematically about thinking itself, treating their mindset as their most valuable and improvable asset. 2. Identity first. Become the asset. Your income is a reflection of your identity, not your skills, not your education, not your connections, though all of these matter. At the deepest level, your financial results mirror who you believe yourself to be. This is why lottery winners often lose their fortunes within years, and why some people seem to effortlessly attract money while others struggle despite working twice as hard. The difference lies in identity. Most people approach wealth backwards. They think that once they have money, they'll feel wealthy. Once they feel wealthy, they'll believe they deserve it. Once they believe they deserve it, they'll act like a wealthy person. This is precisely why most people never accumulate significant wealth. They're waiting for external circumstances to change their internal reality. Millionaires understand the true sequence. Identity creates beliefs. Beliefs drive behaviors, and behaviors produce results. They don't wait to feel worthy of wealth, they decide they are worthy of wealth, then act accordingly. The money follows naturally because their actions align with their identity. Consider two people starting businesses. The first sees himself as someone trying to make extra money on the side. When faced with a difficult client, he immediately lowers his price to keep the peace. When an opportunity requires investment, he hesitates because that's not really who I am. When networking events come up, he stays home because he doesn't belong in those circles yet. The second person has adopted the identity of a successful business owner. When faced with the same difficult client, she maintains her pricing because that's what professionals do. When investment opportunities arise, she evaluates them strategically because that's how business owners think. She attends networking events not because she feels completely comfortable, but because that's where business owners gather. Same opportunities, different identities, vastly different outcomes. Your current financial situation exists because it matches your current identity. If you see yourself as someone who works hard for modest rewards, You'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities that could lead to significant wealth because they don't match your self-image. If you see yourself as unlucky with money, you'll focus on evidence that confirms this belief while ignoring contrary examples. The millionaire identity operates from abundance rather than scarcity. When scarcity-minded people see an opportunity, they immediately think about what could go wrong, what they might lose, or why they're not qualified. When abundance-minded people see the same opportunity, they think about what could go right, what they might gain, or how they can become qualified. This shift happens before any action is taken. Identity is the lens through which you interpret every situation, and that interpretation determines your response. Change the lens, and you change everything that follows. Building a millionaire identity requires understanding that you are your most valuable asset. Employees think their job is their asset. If they lose the job, they lose their security. Millionaires know that they themselves are the asset. They can lose a business, an investment, even a fortune. But as long as they retain their knowledge, skills, relationships, and mindset, they can rebuild. This perspective changes how you invest your time and energy. Instead of just performing tasks, you're constantly upgrading yourself. Instead of protecting what you have, you're always expanding what you're capable of creating. Instead of hoping for opportunities, you're becoming the kind of person who attracts them naturally. The millionaire identity also embraces responsibility differently. When something goes wrong, the employee mindset looks for someone to blame or some external factor to explain the failure. The millionaire mindset immediately asks, "What could I have done differently?" Or, "How can I ensure this doesn't happen again?" This isn't about self-blame, it's about maintaining agency. If you caused the problem, you can solve it. If someone else caused it, you're dependent on them to fix it. Money flows toward people who can handle it responsibly, multiply it effectively, and deploy it wisely. If you don't see yourself as someone capable of managing significant wealth, you'll unconsciously avoid situations that could lead to it. You might procrastinate on important projects, undercharge for your services, or make decisions that keep you small because staying small feels safe and familiar. The transformation begins when you decide to adopt beliefs that serve your goals rather than beliefs that match your past. Your past is not your potential. Your current circumstances are not your ceiling. You can choose to identify with your aspirations rather than your history. This doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not or living beyond your means. It means recognizing that identity is flexible and largely under your control. You can consciously choose to see yourself as someone who creates value, builds assets, and deserves financial abundance. Once you make this choice consistently, your behaviors automatically begin to align. The process requires both audacity and patience. Audacity, to claim an identity that your current results don't yet support. Patience, to understand that external results lag behind internal shifts. There will be moments when your new identity feels uncomfortable or artificial. This is normal. You're literally rewiring years or decades of conditioning. Start by paying attention to the language you use when describing yourself and your situation. Do you say you're trying to make more money? Or do you say you're building wealth? Do you refer to yourself as just an employee or as someone developing business skills? These distinctions might seem small, but they compound over time. Notice how you respond to setbacks. Someone with an employee identity might think, "See, I knew this wouldn't work for someone like me." Someone with a millionaire identity thinks, "This is valuable feedback that will help me succeed faster next time." Same setback, different identity, different interpretation, different subsequent action. Watch how you make decisions about time, money, and energy. Millionaires invest in their future selves, even when the return isn't immediate or guaranteed. They spend money on education, delegate tasks that don't require their unique skills, and build relationships before they need them. These behaviors might seem wasteful to someone with an employee mindset, but they're natural expressions of someone who sees themselves as an appreciating asset. Your millionaire identity becomes stronger with each decision that reinforces it. When you choose the higher-priced option because you deserve quality, you're reinforcing abundance. When you invest in learning a valuable skill instead of consuming entertainment, you're reinforcing growth. When you have conversations about opportunities instead of complaints, you're reinforcing possibility. The goal isn't to become someone completely different. The goal is to become more fully yourself, specifically, the version of yourself that isn't limited by past experiences, other people's opinions, or inherited beliefs about what's possible for someone like you. Write down the specific identity you want to embody. Be detailed about how this person thinks, acts, and responds to situations. Read this description daily until it becomes so familiar that living any other way feels strange. Then eliminate one behavior each week that contradicts this identity while adding behaviors that support it. Your income will rise to meet your identity, but your identity must lead the way. 3. Rewrite your money story. Money has been whispering to you since childhood, and those whispers have become the invisible ceiling above your head. Every dollar you earn, every opportunity you pursue, every financial decision you make flows through a filter created by stories you absorbed before you could even spell wealth. Most people spend their entire lives trying to earn more while carrying beliefs that ensure they never will. The millionaire understands something profound. Your money story writes your money reality. Think about your earliest memory involving money. Perhaps you watched your parents argue over bills, heard them say money doesn't grow on trees, or felt the tension when unexpected expenses arrived. Maybe you learned that good people don't care about money, that wanting more makes you greedy, or that only lucky people get rich. These moments didn't just pass by, they carved neural pathways that still influence every financial choice you make today. Your subconscious mind operates like a faithful servant, working tirelessly to prove your deepest beliefs correct. If you believe deep down that you don't deserve wealth, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities that could create it. If you believe money corrupts people, you'll avoid pursuing it with full intensity. If you believe there's never enough to go around, you'll hoard instead of invest. Your mind will always find ways to make your story true, even when that story limits your potential. The fascinating truth is that money itself is neutral. It's neither good nor evil, spiritual nor unspiritual, limited nor unlimited. Money is simply a tool for exchanging value, and your relationship with it reflects your beliefs about yourself, other people, and how the world works. When you change the story, you change the relationship. When you change the relationship, you change the results. Consider the difference between these two internal narratives. The first voice says, making money requires sacrifice. You have to work incredibly hard, give up what you love, and compete with others who want the same things. Even if you succeed, you'll probably lose it somehow, and people might think differently of you. The second voice says, money flows to people who create value for others. The more problems I solve, the more wealth I can generate. Building wealth allows me to help more people and live according to my deepest values. Both stories feel true to the people who hold them, and both create completely different financial realities. The first story generates anxiety, scarcity thinking, and self-sabotage. The second generates confidence, opportunity, recognition, and persistent action toward wealth-building activities. Your current income is simply the external expression of whichever story is running your internal operating system. The millionaire's money story contains several key elements that separate it from common narratives. First, wealth creation is seen as a service to others rather than a selfish pursuit. Every successful business, every valuable product, every profitable service exists because it solves problems for people. The more significant the problem you solve, the more wealth you can ethically create. This reframe transforms money-making from a guilty pursuit into a meaningful mission. Second, the millionaire story treats money as abundant rather than scarce. While any individual has limited time and energy, human creativity and value creation have no ceiling. New solutions, innovations, and improvements emerge constantly. Markets expand, problems multiply, creating opportunities for those who develop the skills to address them. When you truly understand that wealth comes from creating value, you realize that opportunities for value creation are essentially unlimited. Third, the millionaire's story positions wealth as a responsibility rather than a luxury. Money is power. The power to solve problems, support causes you believe in, take care of people you love, and create positive change in the world. From this perspective, avoiding wealth isn't humble or virtuous. It's actually a way of avoiding responsibility. The more resources you control, the more good you can do, assuming your character and values guide your choices. Fourth, the millionaire story treats financial setbacks as education rather than evidence of personal inadequacy. Every wealthy person has failed multiple times, lost money on investments that seemed promising, and made decisions they later regretted. The difference is how they interpret these experiences. Instead of confirming limiting beliefs about their worthiness or capability, setbacks become valuable data that improves future decision-making. Rewriting your money story requires both awareness and practice. You must first identify the specific beliefs that currently limit your financial potential. Then, consciously craft new beliefs that support wealth creation. This isn't about positive thinking or wishful denial of reality. It's about examining whether your current beliefs serve your goals and replacing unhelpful patterns with more useful ones. Start by paying attention to your automatic thoughts when money topics arise. When you see someone driving an expensive car, what assumptions do you make about them? When you consider raising your prices or asking for a promotion, what fears surface? When you think about having significant wealth yourself, what concerns or objections arise? These automatic responses reveal the stories running in the background of your consciousness. Many people discover they hold contradictory beliefs about money that create internal conflict and inconsistent behavior. You might consciously want financial success, while unconsciously believing that money changes people for the worse. You might dream of wealth while feeling guilty for wanting more than you currently have. You might admire successful people while secretly resenting their advantages. These internal contradictions create resistance that slows your progress toward financial goals. The process of rewriting your money story isn't about adopting someone else's beliefs or following a prescribed formula. Your new story must feel authentic to your values and personality while supporting your financial objectives. Some people thrive with competitive money narratives focused on winning and achievement. Others prefer collaborative stories about mutual benefit and shared success. The specific content matters less than ensuring your story empowers rather than limits your potential. Your new money story should address several key questions. Why do you want wealth, and how will having it serve purposes beyond your personal comfort? What unique value can you create for others that justifies significant financial rewards? How will you maintain your character and relationships as your wealth grows? What will you do with money once you have it? And how will wealth enable you to contribute to causes and people you care about? As you develop your new story, begin acting as if it's already true. If your new narrative says that wealthy people are generous and values-driven, start demonstrating those qualities now with whatever resources you currently have. If your story says that money flows to people who consistently create value, focus your daily efforts on value creation activities. If your story says that financial abundance allows you to help others, begin helping others in ways that don't require money. This alignment between story and behavior creates a powerful feedback loop. When you act according to your new money beliefs, you gather evidence that supports those beliefs. As the evidence accumulates, the new story becomes more believable and automatic. As the story becomes more natural, behaviors that support wealth creation become easier and more consistent. The result is a transformation that happens from the inside out, changing your relationship with money at the deepest level. Your money story determines not just how much you earn, but how you earn it, what you do with it, and how you feel about the entire process. When your story supports your financial goals, pursuing wealth becomes energizing rather than exhausting, natural rather than forced, sustainable rather than temporary. The external strategies and tactics of wealth building work much more effectively when they align with an internal narrative that expects and supports financial success. Change your story, and you change everything else that follows. List 3 limiting money beliefs you currently hold and rewrite each as an empowering rule. Practice one visible action that proves the new rule true. Your financial future begins with the stories you tell yourself today. 4. Time is a tool, not a trade. Most people approach time the same way they learned in school. Show up, punch the clock, and get paid for hours served. This is employee thinking, and it's the invisible ceiling that keeps talented people broke. Millionaires see time differently. They don't sell it, they multiply it. They don't trade it, they invest it. They understand that time is the ultimate leverage tool, not a commodity to be bartered away. The difference between someone earning $50,000 and someone earning $5 million isn't that the millionaire works 100 times harder or longer. If anything, many millionaires work fewer hours than their employees. The difference is how they think about and deploy their time. While others count hours, millionaires count outcomes. While others focus on being busy, millionaires focus on being effective. Think about a surgeon and a general practitioner. Both went to medical school. Both work with their hands. But the surgeon earns 5 times more per hour. Why? Because the surgeon's time is spent on higher value activities that require rarer skills and produce bigger outcomes. The surgeon has learned to focus on the few things that matter most, while delegating or eliminating everything else. This is the essence of time transformation, shifting from low-value activities to high-value activities, then building systems that handle the low-value work without your direct involvement. It's not about working more hours. It's about making each hour work harder for you. Every task in your life falls into one of 4 categories, each representing a different value per hour. $10 tasks, $100 tasks, $1,000 tasks, and $10,000 tasks. Most people spend 80% of their time on $10 tasks and wonder why their income stays flat. Millionaires flip this equation. They spend most of their time on the highest value activities and systematically eliminate or delegate the rest. $10 tasks are the routine, administrative work that keeps things running but doesn't move the needle. Checking email, organizing files, scheduling appointments, data entry, routine customer service. These tasks are necessary, but they're not wealth-building activities. If you can hire someone for $10 to $20 an hour to do it, it's a $10 task. $100 tasks require more skill and judgment, but they're still primarily execution-focused. Creating presentations, writing routine content, managing projects, handling customer issues that require some expertise. These activities are more valuable, but they're still trading time for money in a fairly direct way. $1,000 tasks are where wealth building begins. These are activities that create lasting value, build systems, or generate ongoing returns. Developing new products, building strategic partnerships, creating content that compounds, designing systems and processes, hiring and training key people. When you work on $1,000 tasks, you're not just earning money today, you're building assets that will pay you tomorrow. $10,000 tasks are the highest leverage activities that shape the direction of your entire enterprise. Setting strategy and vision, making key investment decisions, building high-level relationships, creating new business models, negotiating major deals. These are the activities that can change everything with a single decision or conversation. The millionaire mindset shift happens when you realize that your goal is to spend as much time as possible in the $1,000 and $10,000 categories while systematically moving everything else off your plate. This isn't about being lazy or avoiding work. It's about being strategic with the one resource you can never get back. Most people resist this shift because they've been conditioned to believe that doing everything themselves is noble or necessary. They hold on to $10 tasks because they think they can do them better than anyone else or because they're afraid to spend money on help. This is scarcity thinking disguised as work ethic. True wealth thinking recognizes that holding on to low-value activities is actually expensive. It's costing you the opportunity to focus on high-value activities. The transformation starts with honest assessment. Look at how you spent your time last week. Category by category, hour by hour. How much time did you spend on $10 tasks? How much on $1,000 tasks? Most people are shocked to discover they're spending more time organizing their email than they are building their future. Once you see the pattern, you can begin to shift it. The goal is not to eliminate all $10 tasks overnight, but to systematically reduce them while increasing your focus on higher value activities. Every $10 task you delegate or eliminate creates space for $1,000 activities. Every hour you reclaim is an hour you can invest in building something that lasts. The key to making this transition is understanding that your time has an opportunity cost. Every hour you spend on a $10 task is an hour you're not spending on a $1,000 task. If you can make $1,000 per hour working on strategy and growth, then spending an hour on email is actually costing you $990. The difference between what that hour could have generated and what it actually generated. This doesn't mean you should never do small tasks. It means you should be intentional about when and how you do them. Some successful people batch all their $10 tasks into specific time blocks, handling them efficiently so they can dedicate larger blocks to high-value work. Others delegate them completely. The key is making a conscious choice rather than defaulting to whatever feels urgent. The millionaire approach to time also involves buying time back whenever possible. This might mean paying for services that handle routine tasks, housekeeping, meal preparation, administrative work, basic research. Each of these purchases is an investment that returns time you can spend on wealth-building activities. The return on investment is often enormous when you consider the opportunity cost of your time. Building systems is another crucial aspect of time leverage. Instead of handling the same type of task repeatedly, millionaires create systems that handle these tasks automatically or make them easier to delegate. They build templates, checklists, and processes that turn complex tasks into simple ones. They create standard operating procedures that allow others to handle routine decisions without constant supervision. The compound effect of time optimization is dramatic. When you free up just 1 hour per day and redirect it toward $1,000 activities, you're adding potentially $250,000 of value creation time to your year. When you free up 4 hours per day, a realistic goal, when you systematically eliminate and delegate $10 tasks, you're adding $1 million worth of high-value time to your annual schedule. This shift requires changing not just what you do, but how you think about productivity. Instead of measuring success by how busy you are or how many tasks you complete, you measure success by the value you create and the progress you make on your most important goals. A day spent on one high-impact activity that moves your business forward significantly is infinitely more valuable than a day spent checking off 20 routine tasks. The ultimate goal is to reach a point where your time is spent almost entirely on activities that align with your unique strengths and highest value contributions. This doesn't happen overnight, but every step in this direction compounds. As you delegate more $10 tasks, you have more time for $1,000 tasks. As you get better at $1,000 tasks, you can command higher prices and create more value. As you create more value, you can afford to delegate even more, creating an upward spiral of efficiency and income. Remember, you don't need to be perfect at this immediately. Start by identifying just one $10 task you can delegate or eliminate today, and $1,000 activity you can add to your weekly routine. The goal is progress, not perfection. Each small shift in how you use your time compounds over weeks and months into a completely different relationship with productivity and wealth creation. Time is your most valuable asset because it's your most limited one. Millionaires treat it accordingly. They invest it carefully, protect it fiercely, and multiply it systematically. When you make this shift from trading time to leveraging time, you're not just changing your schedule, you're changing your entire financial trajectory. 5. Leverage stacks: code, capital, content, collaboration. The moment you trade time for money, you cap your potential. Every millionaire understands this truth. Leverage is the force multiplier that separates those who work harder from those who work smarter. While most people chase more hours in the day, millionaires create systems that work without them. Leverage transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It's the difference between carrying water in buckets and building aqueducts. Both deliver water, but only one scales infinitely. The wealthy don't just use leverage, they stack it, combining multiple forms to create compound effects that seem almost magical to outside observers. Think of leverage as borrowed power. You're borrowing the strength of systems, the reach of technology, the capabilities of other people, or the force of accumulated resources. This borrowed power amplifies your natural abilities far beyond what you could achieve alone. A single person with the right leverage can accomplish what would take hundreds of people working individually. The 4 pillars of leverage form what we call the leverage stack. Each pillar represents a different way to multiply your efforts, and the real magic happens when you combine them. These pillars are code, capital, content, and collaboration. Master one and you'll see results. Master all 4 and you'll create wealth at a pace that seems impossible to those still trading time for money. Code represents any system or process that runs automatically without your direct involvement. This includes technology, of course, but also encompasses any repeatable system that generates outcomes while you focus elsewhere. A morning routine that automatically prepares your mind for peak performance is code. A customer service system that handles inquiries without your input is code. Even a simple checklist that ensures consistent quality in your work is a form of code leverage. The beauty of code leverage lies in its ability to handle repetitive tasks with perfect consistency. Unlike humans, systems don't have bad days, don't call in sick, and don't require motivation. Once you build a system that works, it continues working whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're motivated or exhausted. This is why millionaires obsess over creating systems and processes for everything in their business and personal lives. Capital leverage involves using money to make more money, but it extends beyond simple investing. Capital includes any resource you can deploy to generate returns. This might be money invested in assets, but it could also be time invested in learning high-value skills or attention invested in building an audience. The key principle is using accumulated resources to create ongoing returns that exceed the initial investment. Most people think they need millions to use capital leverage, but this misses the point entirely. You can start with whatever capital you have, even if it's just a few $100s or a few hours per week. The wealthy didn't start wealthy. They started by deploying whatever resources they had, then reinvesting the returns to gradually build larger capital bases. Content leverage transforms your ideas, knowledge, and personality into assets that can reach unlimited numbers of people simultaneously. When you create a piece of content, whether it's a video, article, course, or even a well-crafted message, you can deliver value to 1 person or 1 million people with the same effort. This is perhaps the most accessible form of leverage in our current economy. Content leverage works because it turns your unique insights and experiences into replicable assets. Every expert has knowledge that others would pay to access, and content allows you to package that knowledge in forms that can be consumed repeatedly without additional effort from you. A single piece of content can continue generating value for years after you create it. Collaboration leverage multiplies your capabilities by accessing the skills, time, and resources of other people. This includes traditional employees and contractors, but also partnerships, joint ventures, affiliate relationships, and even customers who help spread your message. The highest form of collaboration leverage is creating situations where other people are motivated to help you succeed because it helps them succeed too. Smart collaboration isn't about managing people, it's about creating systems where everyone wins when the overall mission succeeds. When you align incentives properly, other people become extensions of your own capabilities, allowing you to accomplish far more than you ever could alone. The key is structuring these relationships so that helping you is the natural choice for everyone involved. The multiplication effect happens when you stack these forms of leverage together. A business that combines automated systems with invested capital, valuable content, and motivated collaborators can grow at rates that seem impossible to traditional time and effort approaches. Each form of leverage amplifies the others, creating compound effects that accelerate over time. Consider how these elements work together in practice. You might create content that attracts an audience interested in your expertise. This content continues working for you automatically, demonstrating code leverage. You then use capital to amplify the reach of your best content through paid promotion. The expanded audience creates opportunities for collaboration with others who serve similar markets. These collaborators help spread your message further, while automated systems handle the increased volume of inquiries and sales. The secret is starting small, but thinking in systems from the beginning. You don't need to build all 4 types of leverage simultaneously, but you should design whatever you're building with leverage in mind. Ask yourself how each effort can be systematized, scaled, or amplified. This mindset shift from linear to exponential thinking changes everything about how you approach your work. Most people resist leverage because it requires upfront investment of time, money, or attention before seeing returns. They prefer the immediate feedback of trading time for money, even though this approach caps their growth. Millionaires understand that temporary discomfort in building leverage systems creates permanent advantages in generating wealth. The transition to leveraged thinking requires patience and faith in compound effects. Your first automated system might save only a few hours per week. Your first content piece might reach only a handful of people. Your first collaboration might generate modest results. But each of these small wins teaches you how leverage works and builds your capability to create bigger wins next time. Building leverage also requires accepting that not every attempt will succeed. Some systems will fail, some content will flop, and some collaborations won't work out. This is expected and normal. The key is making many small bets rather than betting everything on one approach. Leverage, rewards, consistency, and iteration more than perfection. The most successful people stack leverage methodically over time. They might start by systematizing one aspect of their work, then gradually expanding these systems while building content and forming strategic relationships. Each improvement makes the next improvement easier, creating momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. Your leverage journey starts with recognizing opportunities in your current situation. Look for tasks you do repeatedly that could be systematized. Identify knowledge you have that others would value. Consider relationships that could be mutually beneficial. Find ways to deploy whatever resources you have, even small amounts, to generate returns. The goal isn't to eliminate all personal effort, it's to ensure that your personal effort gets multiplied by systems, resources, content, and other people. This multiplication effect is what transforms ordinary capabilities into extraordinary results. When you stop selling your time and start building leverage, you join the ranks of those who have discovered the secret to scaling wealth beyond the limits of personal effort. Building leverage is itself a skill that improves with practice. Your first attempts might feel awkward or produce modest results, but each iteration teaches you something valuable about how leverage works. The millionaire mindset embraces this learning process, knowing that mastering leverage is one of the highest value skills anyone can develop. Choose one form of leverage to focus on this month. Ship something small but real, a simple automation, a piece of valuable content, a strategic partnership, or a modest investment with clear upside potential. The specific choice matters less than starting the process and learning how leverage works in practice. 6. Asymmetric bets and optionality. The difference between those who build wealth and those who stay stuck isn't intelligence, luck, or even starting capital. It's how they think about risk and reward. Most people play games where they can lose a lot to win a little. Millionaires flip this equation completely. They hunt for opportunities where they can risk small amounts for potentially massive returns. This is called asymmetric betting, and it's the closest thing to a wealth-building cheat code you'll ever find. The mathematics are simple, but powerful. When your potential upside is many times larger than your downside, you only need to be right occasionally to win big. Think about planting seeds in a garden. Each seed costs pennies, but a single plant can feed you for months. You don't need every seed to grow. You need just enough winners to make the entire garden profitable. The same principle applies to wealth creation. Smart money doesn't try to predict which opportunities will succeed. Instead, it places many small bets, knowing that one breakthrough can cover all the losses and generate massive profits. This approach requires a fundamental shift in how you view failure and success. In the employee mindset, failure is something to avoid at all costs. It represents lost time, wasted effort, and damaged reputation. But in the millionaire mindset, small failures are simply the cost of finding big wins. Each failed experiment brings you closer to the breakthrough that changes everything. The key is structuring these bets properly. You want limited downside with unlimited upside potential. This means never risking more than you can afford to lose completely, while positioning yourself to capture exponential gains when things go right. The barbell strategy captures this perfectly by keeping most of your resources in safe, predictable investments while dedicating a smaller portion to high-risk, high-reward opportunities. Consider the venture capital model. Professional investors expect most of their investments to fail. They're not disappointed when 8 out of 10 companies in their portfolio go to zero. They structure their investments knowing that 1 or 2 massive winners will more than compensate for all the losses. This isn't gambling because they're making calculated decisions based on potential returns, not hoping for lucky breaks. The same principle applies to personal wealth building, just on a smaller scale. You might test 10 different ways to generate additional income, knowing that most won't work. But if one of those tests grows into a significant revenue stream, it more than pays for all the failed experiments. The crucial difference between this approach and gambling is that you're making educated bets in areas where you have knowledge and can influence the outcome. Optionality is what makes asymmetric betting even more powerful. When you create options for yourself, you're buying the right to participate in upside without the obligation to participate in downside. Every skill you learn, every relationship you build, and every small experiment you run creates optionality. These options may seem worthless today, but they can become incredibly valuable when circumstances change. The person who learns a new skill doesn't know exactly how they'll use it, but they've created an option. The person who builds relationships in a new industry creates options to enter that space. The person who experiments with different business models creates options to pivot when opportunities arise. Options are valuable because they let you benefit from positive surprises while protecting you from negative ones. Most people think linearly about opportunities. They see a direct path from effort to reward and expect proportional returns. But wealth creation is exponential, not linear. The same amount of effort applied in the right place at the right time can produce returns that are 10 or 100 times larger than expected. Asymmetric thinking means constantly looking for these exponential opportunities while managing the inevitable disappointments that come with most attempts. The internet has created more opportunities for asymmetric bets than any time in human history. You can test business ideas with minimal upfront investment. You can reach global audiences without traditional gatekeepers. You can automate processes that once required teams of people. You can create digital products that scale infinitely without additional marginal costs. Each of these represents a chance to risk small amounts of time and money for potentially massive returns. But you have to think differently about time horizons and success metrics. Traditional employment teaches you to optimize for steady, predictable returns. You trade hours for dollars in a linear exchange, asymmetric. Betting requires patience and a longer view. You might run dozens of small experiments over months or years before finding one that produces significant returns. The key is running enough experiments consistently enough that you encounter these rare but powerful opportunities. The emotional side of asymmetric betting is often harder than the intellectual side. When most of your attempts don't work, it's easy to conclude that the entire approach is flawed. You have to maintain conviction in the process, even when individual outcomes disappoint. This requires emotional resilience and a deep understanding of probability. You're not trying to be right most of the time. You're trying to be spectacularly right occasionally. Risk management becomes crucial when you're making multiple bets over time. You need systems to ensure that no single failed bet can knock you out of the game entirely. This means limiting the size of individual experiments, diversifying across different types of trade opportunities, and maintaining enough runway to continue placing bets even when early attempts don't work. The goal is to stay in the game long enough for the mathematics of asymmetric returns to work in your favor. The most successful asymmetric bets often come from combining your existing knowledge with new opportunities. You don't need to venture into completely unfamiliar territory. Instead, look for ways to apply what you already know in new contexts or to new audiences. Your unique combination of skills, experiences, and relationships gives you an edge in recognizing opportunities that others might miss. timing plays a crucial role in asymmetric outcomes. The same idea executed at different times can produce vastly different results. This is why maintaining optionality is so important. You want to be positioned to recognize and act on opportunities when timing aligns with potential. Often, this means starting experiments before you feel ready and adjusting based on what you learn. The compound effect of asymmetric betting extends beyond financial returns. Each experiment teaches you something about markets, customers, and yourself. Failed attempts build resilience and pattern recognition. Successful outcomes build confidence and resources for larger bets. Over time, you develop better judgment about which opportunities are worth pursuing and how to structure them for maximum upside with limited downside. Most importantly, asymmetric thinking changes your relationship with opportunity itself. Instead of waiting for perfect chances or guaranteed outcomes, you become comfortable with uncertainty and excited by potential. You start seeing possibilities where others see problems. You begin taking action on incomplete information because you understand that optionality and small bets give you more chances to win than waiting for certainty ever could. Place one small bet this week. Risk something you can afford to lose completely in exchange for the possibility of a return that's many times larger than your investment. Set clear rules for when you'll call the experiment a success, when you'll kill it, and when you'll scale it up. Then pay attention to what you learn, regardless of the immediate outcome. You're not just trying to win money. You're learning to think and act like someone who creates wealth through intelligent risk-taking rather than hoping for safety. 7. Skills that pay forever. The difference between someone who earns $50,000 a year and someone who earns $500,000 isn't intelligence, luck, or even connections. It's the skills they've chosen to develop. Most people collect random skills, like collecting stamps, hoping one day they'll be worth something. Millionaires think differently. They stack skills that compound, multiply each other, and pay dividends forever. Think of skills as tools in a workshop. You could have 1,000 tools scattered around, but if they don't work together to build something valuable, you're just a collector of expensive equipment. The millionaire approach is different. Select a few high-leverage tools that complement each other perfectly, then master them to a level where you can build things others cannot. The first skill that pays forever is learning itself. This might sound obvious, but most people learn accidentally. They stumble into information, absorb what's convenient, and hope it sticks. Millionaires treat learning like a precision instrument. They identify exactly what they need to know, find the fastest path to competence, and then immediately apply what they've learned to create value. They don't learn for the sake of learning. They learn to earn. Learning becomes exponentially more valuable when you understand how knowledge compounds. Each new skill you acquire doesn't just add to your capabilities, it multiplies them. When you know how to write clearly, and you also understand human psychology, you don't just have two skills. You have the ability to influence minds at scale. When you add sales ability to that combination, you can turn influence into income. The mathematics of skill stacking is beautiful. 1 + 1 = 10. The second skill that pays forever is writing. Before you dismiss this as something only authors need, understand that writing is thinking made visible. Every email you send, every proposal you create, every social media post you publish is an opportunity to demonstrate clear thinking and compelling communication. In a world drowning in information, the person who can write clearly and persuasively holds immense power. Writing isn't just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about taking complex ideas and making them simple, taking scattered thoughts and organizing them into persuasive arguments, taking problems and presenting solutions. When you can write, you can sell. When you can sell through writing, you can reach thousands of people simultaneously without being physically present. Your words become your sales force, working while you sleep. The third skill that pays forever is sales, but not the pushy, manipulative kind you might imagine. Real sales is the ability to help people see that what you offer is exactly what they need. It's the skill of asking the right questions, listening to what people actually want, and then showing them how you can provide it. Every millionaire is a master salesperson, even if they never think of themselves that way. Sales starts with understanding that people don't buy products or services. They buy better versions of themselves. They buy solutions to problems, shortcuts to goals, and relief from pain. When you can identify what someone truly wants and show them how to get it, price becomes secondary. The person who can sell effectively never worries about income because they can always create it on demand. Data interpretation is the fourth skill that pays forever. We live in an age where information is everywhere, but insight is rare. Person who can look at numbers, trends, and patterns and extract actionable intelligence has a superpower. This doesn't mean you need to become a mathematician. It means developing the ability to see what's working, what's not, and what's changing before others notice. Data literacy allows you to make decisions based on evidence rather than emotion. It helps you spot opportunities early and avoid disasters before they happen. Most importantly, it gives you the confidence to bet big when the odds are in your favor because you can see what others cannot. The fifth skill that pays forever is product creation. This is the ability to take knowledge, experience, or expertise and package it into something others will pay for. Every millionaire eventually learns to productize their value because products scale in ways that time cannot. You can only work so many hours, but a product can serve unlimited customers simultaneously. Product creation starts with recognizing that you already know things other people need to learn. You've solved problems others are struggling with. You've developed processes others could benefit from. The skill lies in identifying these valuable elements of your experience and packaging them in ways that are easy to consume and implement. These 5 skills work together in a continuous cycle that generates increasing returns. You learn something valuable, write about it to clarify your thinking and attract interest, sell the solution to people who need it, analyze the data to see what's working, and create products that scale your impact. Each revolution of this cycle makes the next one more powerful. The beauty of focusing on skills that pay forever is that they become more valuable over time, not less. Unlike many jobs that can be automated or outsourced, these core human abilities become increasingly rare and precious as the world becomes more complex and competitive. The person who can learn quickly, communicate clearly, sell effectively, interpret data wisely, and create valuable products will always be in demand. Most people try to develop these skills one at a time, but millionaires understand the power of parallel development. While you're learning about a subject, you're simultaneously writing about what you're discovering. While you're writing, you're practicing sales by trying to persuade readers of your point of view. While you're selling, you're gathering data about what works. While you're analyzing data, you're creating better products. Everything feeds everything else. The skill development process itself follows a predictable pattern. First, you learn enough to be dangerous, which means you know enough to start but not enough to be truly effective. Then you build something with your new knowledge, which reveals all the gaps in your understanding. Next, you publish or share what you've learned, which forces you to organize your thoughts and often leads to valuable feedback. Then, you sell or apply your knowledge, which shows you what people actually value. Finally, you review the results and iterate, which begins the cycle again at a higher level. The key to making this work is consistency over intensity. 20 minutes of daily practice beats 4 hours of weekend cramming every time. The person who writes 1 page every day for a year develops far more skill than the person who writes 50 pages once and then stops. The compound interest of small, consistent actions is the secret weapon of skill development. Understanding this cycle reveals why most people struggle with skill development. They try to perfect each stage before moving to the next. They want to learn everything before they build anything. They want to build the perfect thing before they share it. They want to master their presentation before they try to sell. This perfectionist approach kills momentum and prevents the feedback loops that accelerate learning. Your skills are your most reliable source of security and growth. Economic conditions change, industries evolve, and specific opportunities come and go, but valuable skills transcend temporary circumstances. The person who can learn, write, sell, analyze, and create will find ways to prosper regardless of external conditions. The skill flywheel, once started, becomes self-reinforcing. Success with one skill builds confidence to tackle others. Income generated from skills provides resources to develop additional capabilities. Recognition gained from demonstrating skills opens doors to new opportunities and relationships. What starts as a deliberate practice routine eventually becomes an unstoppable force for wealth creation. 8. Magnetic sales and persuasion. Most people think selling is manipulation, pushy tactics, or convincing someone to buy something they don't need. This belief keeps them broke. Millionaires understand a fundamental truth. Selling is serving at scale. Every time you solve a problem for money, you're selling. Every time you present an idea, ask for a raise, or suggest a restaurant to friends, you're using persuasion. The difference between those who thrive financially and those who struggle often comes down to their comfort and skill with ethical influence. The resistance to selling runs deep. We've all encountered aggressive salespeople who made us feel uncomfortable, pressured, or manipulated. These experiences create negative associations that we carry forward, causing us to avoid selling altogether or approach it with apology and hesitation. But this avoidance costs us dearly. When you can't effectively communicate the value you provide, when you can't influence others to take action that benefits them, you limit your income potential dramatically. Millionaires reframe selling entirely. They see it as a service, a way to help people move from where they are to where they want to be. They understand that people buy solutions to problems, pathways to desired outcomes, and relief from pain or frustration. When you approach selling from this perspective, it becomes a natural extension of helping others rather than something you do to them. The foundation of magnetic selling begins with genuine care for the person you're serving. This isn't a technique or tactic, but a fundamental shift in how you view the exchange. You're not trying to extract money from someone. You're trying to create value worth exchanging money for. This distinction matters because it changes everything about how you present yourself and your offers. Effective persuasion follows a predictable pattern that works because it mirrors how people naturally make decisions. First comes the problem. People don't buy products or services. They buy solutions to problems they're experiencing. Your job is to identify, understand, and articulate the problem better than your prospect can. When someone feels truly understood, they immediately see you as someone who might be able to help them. Next comes the promise. Once you've identified the problem clearly, you need to paint a picture of what life looks like when that problem is solved. This isn't about making unrealistic claims or overpromising results you can't deliver. It's about helping people see the possibility of a better situation and understanding what that would mean for them. The promise creates desire and hope, two powerful motivators for action. Proof follows the promise because people have been disappointed before. They've tried solutions that didn't work, invested in promises that weren't kept, and learned to be cautious. Proof comes in many forms: results you've achieved for others, your own story of transformation, testimonials, demonstrations, or examples. The key is providing evidence that your promise isn't just possible but probable for someone in their situation. The proposal is where you present your solution. This isn't just describing what you offer, but connecting it directly to their specific problem and desired outcome. You're showing them the bridge between where they are and where they want to be. The most effective proposals focus more on outcomes than features, more on what life looks like after working with you than on the mechanics of how you work. Price comes after value is established. When someone understands their problem clearly, believes in the possibility of a solution, trusts that you can deliver, and sees how your approach addresses their specific situation, price becomes a natural part of the conversation rather than an awkward moment. You're not asking them to spend money. You're asking them to invest in the outcome they want. The pause is perhaps the most important part of the entire process, yet it's where most people fail. After presenting your offer and price, you stop talking. You give the other person space to think, process, and respond. The temptation is to fill the silence with more talking, more convincing, or additional information, but this usually weakens your process. Position. Confidence in your offer means being comfortable with silence while they consider it. The close isn't a high-pressure tactic, but a natural next step. You're simply helping them move forward with a decision that serves them. This might mean saying yes to your offer, but it might also mean acknowledging that your solution isn't right for them right now. Either outcome serves them better than leaving them stuck in indecision. This process works because it respects how people actually make decisions. We don't buy logically and then justify emotionally. We buy emotionally and then justify logically. The problem and promise engage emotions by addressing pain and pleasure. The proof and proposal satisfy the logical mind that needs to justify the decision. The price and pause create space for commitment, and the close facilitates action. Developing your sales skills means practicing this process until it becomes natural. Like any skill, it improves with repetition and feedback. The more conversations you have following this structure, the more comfortable and effective you become. You start to recognize patterns and objections, develop better language for common situations, and build confidence in your ability to serve others through selling. One critical element that separates ethical persuasion from manipulation is attachment to outcome. When you're attached to getting a yes, regardless of whether it serves the other person, you're more likely to use pressure tactics or make promises you can't keep. When you're genuinely focused on what's best for them, you're willing to walk away from business that isn't a good fit. Paradoxically, this detachment often makes you more persuasive because people can sense your genuine care for their well-being. Another key principle is leading with questions rather than statements. Questions engage the other person's mind and help them participate in discovering the value of your solution. Instead of telling someone they have a problem, ask questions that help them recognize it themselves. Instead of claiming your solution will work, ask questions that help them see how it could apply to their situation. People are more convinced by conclusions they reach themselves than by arguments made by others. The language you use matters tremendously in persuasion. Words carry emotional weight and create mental images that influence decisions. Instead of talking about cost, talk about investment. Instead of describing features, focus on benefits. Instead of making claims, tell stories. Stories bypass resistance because they don't feel like sales pitches, yet they can be incredibly persuasive when they illustrate the transformation your solution provides. Objections are not roadblocks, but opportunities to provide clarity. When someone raises a concern about price, timing, or fit, they're not necessarily saying no. They're asking for more information or reassurance. The most common objections you'll encounter are variations of a few core concerns. They don't have the money, they don't have the time, they need to think about it, or they need to consult someone else. Behind each of these objections is usually a deeper concern about whether your solution will actually work for them. Building your sales skills requires consistent practice with real conversations. You can read about selling and study techniques, but competence comes from applying these principles in actual situations where something is at stake. This means making offers regularly, having sales conversations frequently, and treating each interaction as a learning opportunity, rather than just a chance to make money. Your relationship with rejection determines how quickly you'll develop sales skills. Rejection isn't personal, it's information. When someone says no to your offer, they're not rejecting you as a person, but declining a specific solution at a specific time under specific circumstances. The more comfortable you become with hearing no, the more willing you'll be to make offers, and the faster you'll improve. Magnetic selling ultimately comes from being magnetic as a person. This means being genuinely interested in others, confident in your ability to create value, and comfortable with the exchange of money for solutions. When you embody these qualities, selling becomes a natural expression of who you are rather than something you do. People are drawn to work with people who combine competence with care, confidence with humility, and expertise with empathy. The compound effect of developing sales skills extends far beyond business transactions. These same principles apply to any situation where you need to influence outcomes. Negotiating salary, pitching ideas, building partnerships, or even personal relationships. The ability to understand others, communicate value clearly, and guide decisions ethically is valuable in every area of life. Make 10 offers this week through direct messages, emails, or phone calls. Track the objections you receive and notice patterns in the responses. Refine your one-line promise based on what resonates most with people. Each conversation is data that helps you improve your ability to serve others through selling. Remember, you're not trying to convince anyone of anything. You're simply presenting opportunities for people to solve problems they already have. 9. Price, the value, not the hour. The biggest trap that keeps talented people broke is trading time for money. When you price by the hour, you're selling yourself into a cage with invisible bars. Every morning you wake up with the same problem: zero income until you punch the clock. Every evening you face the same limitation: there are only 24 hours in a day, and you can't work them all. Millionaires escape this trap by understanding a fundamental truth that most people never grasp. Customers don't buy time, they buy outcomes. They don't care if something takes you 10 minutes or 10 hours. They care about one thing only: what problem you solve and how much that solution is worth to them. Think about the last time you hired someone to fix something important in your life. Maybe your car broke down and you needed it running by Monday morning to get to work. Maybe your business was losing customers and you needed help fast. Maybe your computer crashed and you had years of family photos trapped inside. In that moment of need, did you care whether the solution took 30 minutes or 3 hours? Of course not. You cared about getting your problem solved, and you were willing to pay based on how valuable that solution was to you. This is the millionaire mindset in action. Instead of asking, "How much should I charge per hour?" they ask, "How much is this outcome worth to the person who needs it?" Instead of selling time, they sell transformation. Instead of being paid for showing up, they're paid for delivering results. The shift from hourly thinking to value thinking changes everything about how you approach your work and your income. When you price by the hour, you're competing with everyone else who does what you do, and the competition usually drives prices down. When you price by value, you're competing with the problem itself, and problems are often worth far more than the time it takes to solve them. Consider two people who both help businesses improve their operations. The first person charges $50 per hour for consulting. Even if they work 40 hours every week of the year, they'll make just over $100,000 before taxes. But they can't actually work 40 billable hours every week because they need time for administration, marketing, and finding new clients. Realistically, they might bill 25 hours per week, earning around $65,000 per year. They're trapped in the time for money cage. The second person offers the same expertise but packages it differently. Instead of selling hours, they sell a business efficiency overhaul that promises to reduce operating costs by at least 20% within 90 days. They price this package at $25,000. If they deliver this service to just 6 businesses per year, they earn $150,000 while working fewer total hours than the hourly consultant. They're not selling time. They're selling the value of reduced costs and improved efficiency. The difference isn't just in the numbers. The hourly consultant is always worried about justifying their time, explaining what they did during each billable hour, and proving they're working hard enough to deserve their rate. The value-based consultant focuses entirely on results. Their clients don't care if the solution comes from years of experience that makes the work faster, or from innovative approaches that solve problems more efficiently. They care about getting the outcome they were promised. This shift requires you to think like an investor in outcomes rather than a seller of labor. When someone comes to you with a problem, your first question isn't, "How long will this take me?" but "What is solving this problem worth to them?" If a business owner is losing $10,000 per month due to an operational inefficiency, fixing that problem is worth far more than the $50 per hour they might pay a traditional consultant. The value-based approach also creates better relationships with your clients. When you sell hours, you're incentivized to work slowly and bill more time. When you sell outcomes, you're incentivized to work smart and deliver results quickly. Clients notice this difference. They appreciate working with someone whose success is tied directly to their success. Building a value ladder is how you systematically move from time-based pricing to outcome-based pricing. At the bottom of the ladder, you might offer something free that demonstrates your expertise and builds trust. This could be a useful resource, a diagnostic tool, or a small sample of your work. The goal isn't to make money at this level, but to show potential clients what's possible. The next rung is your entry-level offer, priced low enough that saying yes feels easy, but valuable enough that clients experience a real transformation. This might be a workshop, a planning session, or a small project with clear deliverables. The purpose is to prove your ability to deliver results and to identify clients who are ready for more comprehensive solutions. Your core offer sits in the middle of the ladder. This is where you solve the main problem your ideal clients face, priced based on the value of that solution. This offer should be substantial enough to create significant transformation, but focused enough that you can deliver it consistently and profitably. Above your core offer, you place premium services for clients who need more support, customization, or attention. These might include ongoing support, additional services, or exclusive access to your expertise. Premium pricing makes sense here because the clients who reach this level have already experienced your ability to deliver results. At the top of your ladder, you might offer back-end services that serve your best clients over longer periods or solve additional problems that naturally arise after your main solution. These relationships become the most profitable and enjoyable part of your business because they're built on proven results and mutual trust. The key to making this ladder work is understanding that each rung serves the ones above it. Your free content demonstrates your expertise to people who might buy your entry offer. Your entry offer proves your ability to deliver results to people who might invest in your core solution. Your core solution builds trust with people who might want premium services. Each level makes the next level feel like a natural and valuable next step. Pricing this way requires confidence in your ability to deliver results, but it also builds that confidence over time. When you know that your success depends entirely on your client's success, you become better at choosing the right clients, understanding their real problems, and delivering solutions that create lasting value. The transition from hourly to value-based pricing doesn't happen overnight, but you can start immediately by reframing how you think about your work. Instead of tracking hours, start tracking outcomes. Instead of describing what you do, describe what changes for your clients. Instead of competing on price, compete on results. When someone asks for your hourly rate, you can respond by asking about their desired outcome instead. When you submit a proposal, lead with the transformation they'll experience, not the time you'll spend. When you deliver your work, measure success by the value created, not the hours invested. This mindset shift does more than increase your income. It transforms how you see yourself and how others see you. You stop being someone who sells time and start being someone who creates value. You stop competing with other service providers and start competing with the status quo. You stop being limited by hours in a day and start being limited only by your ability to find problems worth solving and people willing to pay for solutions. The millionaire who makes money while sleeping isn't just lucky or privileged. They've learned to create value that exists independently of their time, and they've learned to price that value based on what it's worth to the people who need it. This is the foundation of every fortune, creating more value than you capture and capturing that value based on its worth, not the time it took to create. 10. Productize your knowledge. The fastest way to transform your expertise into wealth is to stop selling yourself and start selling what you know. Every day, people pay consultants hundreds of dollars per hour for advice they could package once and sell 1,000 times. The millionaire realizes that knowledge, when properly packaged, becomes a product that scales infinitely without requiring more of their time. Most people with valuable knowledge make the same mistake. They trade their time for money, session by session, call by call, hour by hour. A financial advisor meets with clients one at a time. A fitness trainer works with individuals. A business coach schedules endless one-on-one sessions. While these experts earn decent money, they remain trapped in the time-for-money equation that keeps them from true wealth. The millionaire thinks differently. They ask a simple question that changes everything. How can I solve this problem once and sell the solution many times? This shift in thinking transforms expertise from a service into a product, knowledge into an asset, and time into leverage. Consider what happens when you productize your knowledge. Instead of teaching one person how to solve a problem, you create a system that teaches 100 people. Instead of answering the same question in 10 different conversations, you answer it once in a format that reaches thousands. Instead of your income being limited by the hours in your day, it becomes limited only by how many people need what you know. The process begins with recognizing the pain you can solve. Every area of expertise addresses some form of human suffering or desire. The accountant solves the pain of financial confusion. The marketer solves the pain of invisible businesses. The relationship counselor solves the pain of broken connections. The first step in productizing knowledge is identifying exactly what pain your expertise eliminates. Pain is everywhere, but not all pain is worth packaging. The millionaire looks for pain that is urgent, expensive, and common. Urgent pain means people will pay to solve it quickly. Expensive pain means they will pay well to eliminate it. Common pain means enough people experience it to create a viable market. The intersection of these three qualities creates the foundation for a profitable knowledge product. Once you identify the pain, you must map your process for solving it. Every expert has a method, even if they have never written it down. The therapist follows certain steps to help clients overcome anxiety. The sales trainer uses specific techniques to close deals. The productivity consultant implements particular systems to eliminate chaos. The key is making the invisible visible by documenting the exact steps you take to create transformation. This is where most experts get stuck. They believe their knowledge is too complex to package, or that their clients need the personal touch only they can provide. This thinking keeps them trapped in the service business. The millionaire understands that people don't buy complexity, they buy clarity. They don't need you personally as much as they need your proven process for getting results. The most powerful knowledge products solve problems through systems rather than information. Information is cheap and everywhere. Systems are valuable because they organize information into a sequence that produces predictable outcomes. When you package your knowledge, you are not selling what you know, you are selling how you think and the order in which you apply what you know. Think of your expertise as a recipe. A recipe works because it provides specific ingredients and exact measurements combined in a particular sequence. The value is not in knowing that flour, eggs, and sugar make cake. The value is in knowing the precise amounts and the exact steps that reliably produce the desired result. Your knowledge product should function the same way. The framework for productizing follows 5 stages: pain, process, package, proof, and platform. You have already identified the pain and mapped the process. Now you must package the process in a format that people can consume and implement without your direct involvement. This might be a course, a workshop, a book, a system, or a combination of formats. The key is that the package delivers transformation independently. Proof is what separates successful knowledge products from failures. People don't buy methods, they buy results. Your package must include evidence that your process works for others, not just for you. This means case studies, testimonials, before and after comparisons, and documented outcomes. The stronger your proof, the higher you can price your package, and the more people will trust it enough to buy. The platform is how you deliver and sell your packaged knowledge. This could be as simple as a basic website with a payment system, or as sophisticated as a full learning management system. The platform matters less than the package itself. Many successful knowledge products begin with simple delivery methods and evolve as they grow. Pricing knowledge products requires a different mindset than pricing services. With services, you often endoclead people see price based on time or comparison to competitors. With products, you price based on value and transformation. If your package saves someone 100 hours of work, it should cost more than what they would pay for 100 hours. If it helps them make an extra $1,000 per month, it should be priced as an investment in that income stream. The most successful knowledge products solve problems in progressively deeper ways. You might start with a basic guide that addresses surface-level issues, then offer an advanced course that goes deeper, followed by a premium package that includes more support and customization. This creates what marketers call a value ladder, where customers can buy increasingly expensive solutions as their needs and trust grow. One of the greatest advantages of productized knowledge is that it improves with scale. Each customer who uses your package provides feedback that helps you refine the process. You learn which parts are unclear, which steps are most difficult, and which outcomes are most valuable. This feedback allows you to continuously improve the package, making it more effective and more valuable over time. The shift from selling time to selling knowledge also changes how you spend your days. Instead of delivering the same expertise over and over, you focus on improving your package, reaching more people, and developing new solutions. Your income grows not because you work more hours, but because more people benefit from the knowledge you have packaged. Many experts resist productizing because they worry about losing the personal relationship with clients. This fear misses a crucial point. Productized knowledge allows you to help far more people than you could ever serve individually. The therapist who creates a course on managing anxiety helps hundreds of people instead of dozens. The business coach who packages their method into a system impacts thousands of entrepreneurs instead of a few dozen. Productizing your knowledge also creates freedom that selling time cannot provide. Your expertise continues working even when you are sleeping, traveling, or focused on other projects. The package you create this year can generate income for many years to come, often with minimal additional effort once it is proven and systemized. The action step is both simple and challenging. Outline one knowledge product and pre-sell it to 3 people before you build it. This approach validates that people will pay for your packaged knowledge and provides the motivation to complete the project. Too many experts spend months creating products nobody wants. Pre-selling ensures demand exists before you invest time in creation. Choose one problem you solve repeatedly and document your exact process for solving it. Turn that process into a clear package with a specific outcome. Find 3 people who have this problem and offer to solve it through your new package at a discount in exchange for feedback and testimonials. Once 3 people have paid for your package, you have validated a knowledge product that can scale. The millionaire understands that expertise without packaging is just expensive advice. Expertise with packaging becomes a business asset that compounds over time. Your knowledge is already valuable. The question is whether you will keep selling it 1 hour at a time or start packaging it into products that work while you sleep. 11. Systems that sell while you sleep. The difference between someone who trades time for money and someone who builds wealth is simple. One stops earning when they stop working, while the other has created systems that generate revenue around the clock. When you walk into any successful business, you are not seeing the owner frantically running every transaction. You are witnessing a system at work. Most people believe they need to be present for every sale, every customer interaction, every delivery. This belief keeps them trapped in a cycle of constant effort with linear returns. They work harder, but their income remains tied to their physical presence and daily effort. The millionaire mindset recognizes that true wealth comes from building mechanisms that operate independently of your immediate involvement. Think about water flowing through a well-designed irrigation system. The farmer does not need to carry buckets of water to each plant every day. Instead, they build channels, pipes, and timers that deliver water consistently without constant supervision. Your income should flow the same way. The initial effort goes into designing and building the system, but once it is operational, it continues to deliver results while you focus on higher value activities or even while you sleep. The foundation of any automated income system rests on understanding the natural progression of how people buy. This progression follows a predictable pattern that begins with awareness and moves through various stages until someone becomes not just a customer, but an advocate who brings others into your system. When you map out this journey and create touch points at each stage, you build a machine that guides people naturally toward purchasing decisions. The first stage is awareness, where potential customers discover that you exist and that you might have something valuable to offer. This happens through content, recommendations, search results, or any number of ways people encounter your message. Most people stop here, creating awareness but failing to capture it. They post content, give speeches, or run advertisements, but they have no mechanism to turn that momentary attention into a lasting connection. The second stage transforms awareness into lead generation. This is where you capture contact information in exchange for something valuable. The key insight here is that most people are not ready to buy immediately upon discovering you. They need time to evaluate, trust, and convince themselves. During this evaluation period, if you have no way to stay in touch, you lose them forever. They move on, forget about you, and when they are finally ready to buy, they purchase from whoever happens to be in front of them at that moment. Smart systems capture this interest immediately. They offer something genuinely useful in exchange for an email address, phone number, or other means of future contact. This is not about tricking people into giving you their information. It is about providing immediate value while opening a communication channel for future value delivery. The most effective lead magnets solve a specific, urgent problem that your ideal customer faces right now. Once you have established this connection, the third stage begins: nurturing the relationship. This is where most businesses fail catastrophically. They collect contact information and then either bombard people with sales pitches or disappear entirely until they want to sell something. Both approaches destroy trust and waste the initial investment made in generating awareness. Effective nurturing feels like having a knowledgeable friend who shares useful insights, tells relevant stories, and occasionally mentions products or services that might help. This process builds trust, demonstrates expertise, and keeps you present in the mind of potential customers. The content you share during this phase should be more valuable than what most people charge for. When someone receives tremendous value for free, they naturally assume that your paid offerings must be even better. The fourth stage is the offer itself. By the time someone reaches this point in a well-designed system, the offer should feel like a natural next step rather than an interruption. They have received value, they trust your expertise, and they understand how your solution addresses their specific situation. The offer becomes less about convincing and more about providing a clear path forward for those who are ready to take action. This is where many people stumble, because they make offers too early or too late. Too early, and you seem pushy and sales-focused. Too late, and people lose interest or find other solutions. The timing comes from understanding your audience and recognizing the signals that indicate readiness to buy. These signals include engagement with your content, questions about implementation, and expressions of frustration with their current situation. The fifth stage handles delivery and fulfillment. Your system needs to seamlessly transition from sale to product or service delivery. This stage determines whether customers feel satisfied with their purchase and whether they become repeat buyers. Automated delivery systems reduce your workload while ensuring consistent quality. Whether you are delivering digital products, scheduling services, or shipping physical items, the process should feel smooth and professional from the customer's perspective. The final stage transforms satisfied customers into advocates who feed new people into your system. This happens naturally when you exceed expectations, but it can be systematized through follow-up sequences, referral programs, and community building. Happy customers who feel genuinely helped become your best marketing channel, bringing warm leads who are already predisposed to trust you. Building these systems requires upfront effort and patience. You must create the content for nurture sequences, set up the technical infrastructure, and test each component until it works reliably. This initial investment stops many people because they want immediate results. They would rather make individual sales through direct effort than spend time building something that will pay dividends for years. The millionaire mindset embraces this delayed gratification because it recognizes the compounding effect of systems. Every hour spent building a system pays returns for months or years. Every hour spent in direct sales pays once. The mathematics strongly favor system building. Even though it requires more strategic thinking and upfront work, the most successful automated systems feel personal even though they run without direct involvement. They use the customer's name, reference their specific interests, and respond to their behavior. When someone opens every email but never clicks a link, they might receive different content than someone who clicks frequently but has never made a purchase. This level of personalization was once impossible without hiring large teams, but modern tools make it accessible to individual creators and small businesses. Testing becomes crucial when building these systems because small improvements in conversion rates compound dramatically over time. If your lead magnet converts 2% of visitors instead of 1%, you double your lead generation without increasing traffic. If your email sequence converts 10% of leads instead of 5%, you double your sales without generating more leads. These improvements stack on top of each other, creating exponential rather than linear growth. The beauty of automated systems lies not just in the revenue they generate, but in the freedom they create. When your income flows independently of your daily activities, you gain the luxury of choice. You can focus on activities you enjoy, pursue new opportunities, or simply take time away from work without watching your income disappear. Start building your automated system today by mapping out the journey your ideal customer takes from first hearing about you to becoming a raving fan. Identify where people currently fall out of this journey and create mechanisms to guide them to the next stage. Perfection is not required to begin. A simple system that works beats a complex system that remains forever in planning stages. 12. Invest like a builder. The difference between millionaires and everyone else isn't just how much money they make, it's how they think about money once they have it. Most people see investing as a mysterious game played by Wall Street wizards with secret formulas and insider knowledge. Millionaires see investing as building, and builders invest in what they understand. When you shift from consumer thinking to builder thinking, everything changes. A consumer looks at an investment and asks, "How much can I make?" A builder asks, "How does this work? What could go wrong? And how do I stack the odds in my favor?" This fundamental difference in approach explains why some people compound wealth over decades, while others chase hot tips and lose their shirts. The millionaire investment framework isn't complicated, but it requires discipline. Think of it as 3 buckets: base, growth, and optionality. Your base protects your downside and provides stability. Your growth bucket compounds your upside through things you control and understand. Your optionality bucket gives you exposure to massive wins without risking your foundation. Most people skip the base, ignore growth, and bet everything on optionality. That's gambling, not investing. Your base bucket is boring by design. This is your financial fortress, the foundation that lets you sleep at night and take smart risks during the day. It includes cash for emergencies and simple, low-cost investments that grow steadily over time without requiring your attention. The base isn't meant to make you rich quickly. It's meant to keep you in the game long enough for your other investments to work. Think of it as buying yourself time and peace of mind. Many ambitious people hate the base bucket because it feels too conservative. They want every dollar working at maximum speed toward maximum returns. This is a mistake. The base isn't dead money, it's patient money. It gives you the confidence to be aggressive with your growth bucket because you know your foundation is secure. Without a solid base, you'll make emotional decisions with your other investments, selling at the wrong times and missing the big wins. Your growth bucket is where the real compounding happens, and it's where builder thinking matters most. This bucket contains investments you understand deeply because you're actively involved in making them more valuable. For most millionaire builders, this means investing in their own skills, their own business, or businesses and assets they can influence directly. The growth bucket isn't passive, it's participatory. When you invest in your own skills, you're making the highest return investment available. A new skill can increase your income immediately and compound for decades. When you invest in building your own business, you're not just hoping for returns, you're creating them through your daily actions. When you invest in other assets where you have knowledge and influence, you can spot opportunities others miss and avoid disasters others walk into blindly. The key insight about growth investing is that your knowledge creates your edge. If you understand marketing, you can evaluate marketing businesses and marketing opportunities better than someone who doesn't. If you understand real estate in your area, you have an advantage in local property investments. If you understand technology, you can assess tech investments with more clarity. Your expertise isn't just a way to earn money directly. It's a lens that reveals investment opportunities others can't see. This is why millionaire builders rarely invest in things they don't understand, even when those things are popular or seem to be making money for others. They know that knowledge gaps become expensive mistakes. They'd rather invest smaller amounts in opportunities they understand deeply than larger amounts in opportunities they understand poorly. Understanding beats diversification when you're building wealth. Your optionality bucket is for high upside bets that could multiply your wealth but won't destroy it if they fail. This is where you can afford to take bigger risks because your base provides security and your growth bucket provides steady compounding. Optionality investments might include backing other builders you believe in, investing in emerging markets or technologies, or taking small positions in assets that could grow dramatically. The rule for optionality investing is simple. Only risk what you can afford to lose completely, but make sure the upside is worth it. A good optionality bet might have a 70% chance of losing money but a 30% chance of returning 10 times your investment or more. You make several of these bets, knowing that most will fail but hoping that one or two will more than make up for all the losses. The percentages you allocate to each bucket depend on your situation, but a common builder framework starts with 20 to 30% in base, 50 to 60% in growth, and 10 to 20% in optionality. When you're young and building, you might weight more heavily toward growth. As you accumulate more wealth, you might increase your base for stability and your optionality for major wins. The exact numbers matter less than the discipline of maintaining all three buckets. What makes builder investing different is the active mindset. You're not just hoping your investments will go up, you're actively learning about what you invest in and looking for ways to help them succeed. This might mean staying informed about industries you've invested in, networking with other investors and builders, or using your skills and connections to help your investments grow. Builder investors also think differently about time. They're not trying to get rich next month or even next year. They're playing a longer game where small advantages compound into big wins. They understand that wealth building is like planting trees. You do the work up front and wait for the growth. This patience allows them to avoid the emotional buying and selling that destroys returns for most people. Automation piece is crucial. Millionaire builders automate their base investing so they never have to think about it. Money goes into emergency funds and simple growth investments automatically, without any decision required each month. This removes emotion from the process and ensures consistency. They save their mental energy for the growth and optionality decisions where their knowledge and judgment add the most value. Builder investing also means being honest about what you don't know. If you don't understand an investment, you either learn about it deeply before investing or you skip it entirely. There's no shame in saying no to opportunities outside your expertise. In fact, that discipline is what creates the space for you to excel in the areas where you do have advantages. The compound effect of builder investing isn't just financial, it's educational. Every investment teaches you something about how money, markets, and businesses work. Over time, you develop better judgment, spot patterns others miss, and build a network of people who can help you see opportunities earlier. Your investing activities make you a better builder, and your building activities make you a better investor. This approach requires you to allocate percentages thoughtfully and automate your base investments while setting clear rules for everything else. When you invest like a builder, you're not just hoping for good returns, you're stacking the odds in your favor through knowledge, discipline, and time. 13. Build an attention engine. Most people think attention is free because they give it away without thinking. They scroll mindlessly, consuming content created by others, never realizing they're feeding someone else's business while starving their own. The millionaire mind operates differently. It understands that attention is the most valuable currency in the modern economy, and whoever controls attention controls the flow of money. Think about every successful person you know. They all have one thing in common. People pay attention to them. The wealthy restaurant owner has customers who seek him out. The successful consultant has clients who hang on her every word. The profitable author has readers who buy every book. They've built what I call an attention engine, and it powers everything else they do. An attention engine is a system that consistently draws people toward you and your ideas. It's not about being famous or having millions of followers. It's about creating a reliable stream of interested people who want to hear what you have to say. When you own attention, you own distribution. When you own distribution, you never have to beg for customers again. The beauty of building an attention engine is that it gets easier over time, not harder. Every piece of content you create can work for you forever. Every person who discovers you can tell others about you. Every relationship you build through your platform can open doors you never knew existed. This, compound growth in its purest form. Most people approach this backward. They create something first, then desperately try to find people to buy it. They send cold messages, buy expensive advertising, and wonder why nobody cares. The millionaire approach flips this sequence. First, you gather attention around topics that matter to people. Then, you create solutions for the problems they already have. You're not pushing products onto strangers. You're serving solutions to people who already know and trust you. The framework for building an attention engine has 5 essential elements: niche, narrative, consistency, calls to action, and community. Each element builds on the others, creating a system that attracts the right people and turns attention into income. Your niche is your corner of the world. It's the specific group of people you serve and the particular problem you solve. Many people resist choosing a niche because they think it limits their opportunities. The opposite is true. When you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. When you focus on a specific group with a specific need, you become the obvious choice for that group. You become known for something instead of being invisible among the masses. The key is choosing a niche that sits at the intersection of 3 circles: what you're good at, what people will pay for, and what you enjoy talking about. If any circle is missing, your attention engine won't work. Without skill, you can't deliver value. Without market demand, nobody cares. Without genuine interest, you'll quit before you see results. Your narrative is the story that connects your expertise to their problems. It's not enough to be good at something. You need to help people understand why it matters to them. Your narrative explains the transformation you provide and the future you help people reach. It positions you as the guide who can help them move from where they are to where they want to be. The strongest narratives follow a simple pattern. You identify a common problem that frustrates people. You present a better way of thinking about that problem. You share your unique method for solving it. You paint a picture of life after the problem is solved. This narrative becomes the thread that runs through everything you create. Consistency is what separates the professionals from the hobbyists. Everyone can create good content occasionally. Only the serious ones show up regularly. Your audience needs to know when and where to find you. They need to develop a habit of checking your content, not wonder if you still exist. Consistency doesn't mean posting 20 times a day. It means showing up predictably with valuable insights. Whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly, pick a schedule you can maintain and stick to it. Your audience would rather have reliable value than sporadic brilliance. This is where most people fail. They start strong, posting every day for 2 weeks, then life gets busy and they disappear for a month. They kill their momentum and have to rebuild their audience from scratch. The millionaire mind thinks in years, not weeks. It chooses a sustainable pace and maintains it regardless of mood or circumstances. Your calls to action bridge the gap between attention and income. Every piece of content should give people a next step. Not every call to action needs to be a sale, but every piece of content should move people deeper into your world. Sometimes you ask them to follow you. Sometimes you invite them to join your email list. Sometimes you offer a consultation. The key is always giving them a way to raise their hand and express interest. Many people feel uncomfortable with calls to action because they think it's pushy or salesy. This mindset keeps them poor. A call to action is a service, not a burden. You're giving interested people a way to get more of what they already want. You're making it easy for them to solve their problems. When you hide behind false modesty and avoid making offers, you rob people of the chance to improve their lives. Community is what transforms an audience into an asset. When people connect with each other around your ideas, they become more than followers. They become advocates who spread your message and bring you new opportunities. They create discussions that generate more content ideas than you could think of alone. They provide feedback that helps you improve your offerings and insights that help you understand their real needs. Building community doesn't require complex technology or expensive platforms. It starts with responding to comments, asking questions, and facilitating conversations. When someone shares their experience related to your content, highlight it. When someone asks a great question, turn it into new content. When people help each other in your space, celebrate it. You become the center of gravity around which valuable conversations happen. The multiplication effect of community is profound. Instead of you talking to 1,000 individuals, you have 1,000 people talking to each other about your ideas. Your influence expands beyond your direct reach. Your message spreads through networks you never could have accessed alone. Your opportunities multiply as community members recommend you, hire you, and partner with you. Platform choice matters less than execution quality. Some people spend months researching the perfect platform instead of creating valuable content. Pick the platform where your audience already spends time and where you feel comfortable expressing your ideas. Master one platform before expanding to others. Deep engagement on one platform beats shallow presence on 5 platforms. The content itself should educate, entertain, or inspire, preferably combining 2 or all 3 elements. Educational content teaches people something useful they didn't know before. Entertaining content makes people smile, laugh, or feel good. Inspiring content helps people see new possibilities for themselves. The most powerful content does all 3 at once. Your attention engine requires patience and persistence, but the results compound exponentially. In the beginning, you might reach dozens of people. After consistent effort, you reach hundreds. Eventually, you reach thousands without working any harder. Each new person in your audience increases the potential reach of everything you create afterward. The ultimate goal isn't fame or followers for their own sake. The goal is building an asset that reduces your customer acquisition costs to nearly zero while increasing your influence and income potential infinitely. When people already know who you are and what you stand for, selling becomes a natural conversation instead of an awkward interruption. Start building your attention engine today by choosing your niche, crafting your narrative, and committing to consistency. Your future income depends on the attention you earn today. 14. Decision-making by expected value. Most people make decisions based on feelings, past experiences, or what sounds good in the moment. They choose the college major their parents wanted, take the job that feels safe, or avoid the business opportunity because it seems scary. This emotional decision-making keeps them trapped in average results because they never calculate what choices actually pay off in the long run. Millionaires think differently. They use math to guide their decisions. They calculate expected value, which is a simple way to predict whether a choice will make them money or cost them money over time. Expected value is not about being right every single time. It's about making decisions that win more than they lose when you add up all the results. Think of it like this. If you flip a coin and win $5 for heads, but only lose $3 for tails, you should flip that coin all day long. You won't win every flip, but over time, you'll come out ahead. That's expected value thinking. The millionaire sees the math behind the coin flip while everyone else just sees gambling. The formula is simple. Expected value equals the odds of winning multiplied by how much you could win, minus the odds of losing multiplied by how much you could lose. If the number is positive, the decision pays off in the long run. If it's negative, walk away. This removes emotion from the equation and lets math guide your choices. Let's say someone offers you a business partnership. Most people would think about whether they like the person or whether the business sounds interesting. The millionaire thinks differently. They ask, what are the odds this succeeds? How much could I make if it works? What are the odds it fails? And how much would I lose if it doesn't work out? Then they do the math. Maybe there's a 30% chance the business succeeds and makes you $50,000. There's a 70% chance it fails and costs you $10,000. The expected value is 30% times 50,000 minus 70% times 10,000. That's 15,000 minus 7,000, which equals $8,000 of expected value. The math says take the deal. But expected value goes beyond just money calculations. You can use this thinking for career moves, relationship decisions, where to live, and how to spend your time. Every choice has probabilities and outcomes. The person who learns to see these patterns and calculate the likely results will make better decisions than someone who just goes with their gut. The challenge is that our brains are terrible at estimating probabilities. We overestimate dramatic risks like plane crashes, while underestimating boring risks like heart disease. We think unlikely good things are more likely than they really are, especially when we want them badly. We let recent events cloud our judgment about what might happen next. This is why successful decision makers use checklists and frameworks. They don't trust their instincts alone. They have systems that force them to consider all the angles and reduce their natural biases. A good decision checklist asks questions that your emotional brain would rather skip. The first question is about base rates. Before you decide how likely something is to succeed, find out how often similar things have succeeded in the past. If you're thinking about starting a restaurant, look up how many restaurants survive their first 5 years. If you're considering an investment opportunity, research how often those types of investments pay off. Your situation might be special, but start with the historical odds. The second question is about your personal advantages. What do you bring to this situation that improves your odds beyond the base rate? Maybe you have more experience, better connections, or unique insights. Be honest about whether these advantages are real or just wishful thinking. Most people overestimate how much their personal touch will improve their chances. The third question is about downside protection. What's the worst-case scenario, and how would you handle it? Can you afford to lose what you're risking? Do you have backup plans? The best decisions have limited downside but unlimited upside. You want to risk small amounts for the chance of large gains, not bet everything on one outcome. The fourth question is about opportunity cost. If you choose this path, what else are you giving up? Maybe the business opportunity looks good by itself, but you'd have to quit a stable job and miss other chances. The true cost of any decision includes what you don't get to do instead. Sometimes the best choice is the one that keeps the most doors open. The fifth question is about timeline and reversibility. How quickly will you know if this decision is working? Can you change course if things go wrong? Decisions that give you fast feedback and easy exits are safer than ones that lock you in for years. You want to fail fast and cheap, not slow and expensive. This framework helps you avoid the most common decision-making mistakes. You stop choosing based on what you hope will happen and start choosing based on what's likely to happen. You stop risking more than you can afford to lose. You stop missing obvious alternatives because you fell in love with one option. But expected value thinking has limits. The math only works if you can make similar decisions many times. If you're making a one-time choice, like who to marry or whether to have children, pure expected value calculations don't capture everything that matters. Some outcomes are so important that you can't just average them out. The key is combining expected value thinking with good judgment. Use the math to eliminate clearly bad options and identify clearly good ones. Use your wisdom and values to choose among the options that have similar expected values. Don't let formulas replace thinking, but don't let emotions override good analysis either. Most people make too few good bets because they focus too much on the chance of losing. They see the 70% chance of failure and ignore the positive expected value. Millionaires make calculated risks look easy because they've trained themselves to see the math behind the uncertainty. They know that winning in the long run means accepting short-term losses as part of the game. The goal is not to be right about every decision. The goal is to make decisions that compound in your favor over time. Some will fail, but more will succeed, and the successes will be bigger than the failures. This is how you systematically improve your life, instead of just hoping things work out. Start applying expected value thinking to small decisions first. Practice the framework on choices that don't matter much, so you can use it confidently when the stakes are high. Over time, this mathematical approach to decision-making will become as natural as checking the weather before you leave the house. Your choices will improve, and your results will follow. 15. Risk, resilience, and runway. The difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who remain trapped in financial mediocrity often comes down to one critical factor: their ability to stay in the game long enough for their efforts to compound. Millionaires understand that wealth building is not a sprint where you risk everything for quick gains, but a marathon where survival and persistence determine the winner. Most people approach risk backwards. They play it safe with small decisions, while taking enormous risks with the big ones. They'll spend 30 minutes researching the best deal on coffee beans but put their entire financial future at risk by having no emergency fund, no backup income sources, and no plan for when things go wrong. They'll agonize over spending $50 on a book that could change their mindset but think nothing of staying in a job where they're completely dependent on a single income source that could disappear at any moment. The wealthy think differently about risk. They understand that the biggest risk is not having enough cushion to weather the inevitable storms that come with building anything meaningful. They know that opportunities often come disguised as problems, and those who have prepared for uncertainty are the ones positioned to capitalize when others are forced to retreat. This is where the 3R model becomes your financial insurance policy: runway, redundancy, and recovery. These three elements work together to create what millionaires call anti-fragility. Instead of just surviving setbacks, you actually get stronger from them. Runway is your financial breathing room. It's the number of months you can maintain your current lifestyle without any income coming in. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, which means their runway is effectively zero. One unexpected expense or income disruption and they're in crisis mode. Millionaires maintain runway not because they're paranoid, but because they understand that money in the bank represents freedom to make decisions from a position of strength rather than desperation. When you have runway, you can say no to opportunities that don't align with your goals. You can negotiate from a position of power, because walking away is always an option. You can take calculated risks on ventures with high upside potential, because failure won't destroy you. You can invest time in building systems and relationships that pay off over the long term instead of constantly scrambling for the next quick fix. The magic number for runway varies depending on your situation, but wealthy people typically maintain between 6 and 12 months of expenses in readily accessible funds. This isn't money sitting idle in a checking account earning nothing. It's money positioned in vehicles that provide both security and some growth, while remaining liquid enough to access quickly when needed. Building runway requires you to flip the typical spending equation. Instead of spending what's left after living, you live on what's left after paying yourself first. This means getting ruthlessly clear about the difference between needs and wants, and optimizing your lifestyle for sustainability rather than status. Every dollar that goes toward unnecessary consumption is a dollar that's not providing you with options and security. Redundancy is your backup systems for critical areas of your financial life. Single points of failure are the enemy of wealth building. If all your income comes from one source, you have a single point of failure. If all your skills are tied to one industry, you have a single point of failure. If all your relationships are in one network, you have a single point of failure. Millionaires build redundancy across every important aspect of their wealth building strategy. They develop multiple income streams that don't all depend on the same factors. They build skills that transfer across industries and economic conditions. They maintain relationships in different sectors and geographic areas. They diversify not just their investments, but their entire approach to creating and protecting wealth. Redundancy doesn't mean you have to be mediocre at many things instead of excellent at one thing. It means you build your primary strength while systematically eliminating single points of failure in your financial life. You might be known for one particular expertise, but you ensure that expertise can be applied in multiple contexts and markets. Recovery is your ability to bounce back quickly when things don't go according to plan. This is where many people get stuck. They encounter a setback and spend months or years trying to get back to where they were instead of learning from what happened and moving forward stronger. Millionaires approach recovery differently. They expect setbacks and view them as data rather than disasters. When something doesn't work, they quickly extract the lessons, adjust their approach, and get back to taking action. They understand that the cost of perfectionism is usually higher than the cost of imperfect action, followed by quick corrections. Building recovery capacity starts with developing a growth mindset about failure. Every setback contains information that can make your next attempt more likely to succeed. Every loss teaches you something about risk assessment or execution that you couldn't learn any other way. Every disappointment reveals assumptions that need to be tested or strategies that need to be refined. The practical side of recovery involves having systems in place that allow you to reset quickly. This means maintaining relationships with people who can provide opportunities, referrals, or partnerships when you need them. It means keeping your skills sharp and staying connected to trends in your field so you can pivot when necessary. It means having processes documented and automated so you can rebuild quickly rather than starting from scratch. One of the most important aspects of the 3R model is understanding how these elements work together. Runway gives you the time to implement redundancy without desperation driving poor decisions. Redundancy reduces the likelihood that you'll need to rely entirely on your runway. Recovery capabilities mean that even if you exhaust your runway and your backup systems fail, you can rebuild faster than someone starting from zero. This approach requires a fundamental shift in how you think about money and security. Instead of viewing money as something to be spent as soon as it's earned, you start viewing it as a tool for creating options and opportunities. Instead of viewing security as having a steady job, you start viewing it as having multiple ways to create value and generate income. The wealthy also understand that true security comes not from avoiding all risks, but from being prepared to handle risks intelligently. They don't avoid starting businesses because businesses can fail. They start businesses while maintaining enough runway to survive if the business fails, with redundant skills that allow them to generate income in multiple ways, and with recovery systems that let them learn from failure and try again. Building the 3R model into your financial life is a process that happens over time, but it starts with immediate actions you can take today. You can begin building runway by increasing the gap between what you earn and what you spend. You can start building redundancy by developing a skill or income stream that doesn't depend on your primary source of income. You can improve your recovery capacity by strengthening relationships and documenting your processes. The goal isn't to eliminate all risk from your financial life. The goal is to position yourself so that you can take meaningful risks from a position of strength, knowing that you have the resources and systems in place to handle whatever outcomes emerge. This is how millionaires think about risk and resilience, and it's why they're able to stay in the wealth-building game long enough for compound growth to work its magic. When you implement the 3R model consistently, you'll notice a shift in your decision-making. You'll feel more confident taking on challenges because you know you have backup plans. You'll be more willing to walk away from opportunities that don't meet your standards because you're not operating from desperation. You'll find yourself thinking more strategically about long-term wealth building because you're not constantly in survival mode dealing with the latest financial crisis. 16. Networks over net worth. Your network determines your net worth more than your knowledge, skills, or even your work ethic. This truth separates those who struggle alone from those who rise with others. While most people chase money directly, millionaires understand that the right relationships create opportunities that money alone cannot buy. The greatest fortunes in history were built not by isolated geniuses working in basements, but by people who understood how to attract, serve, and collaborate with other high-value people. They recognized that doors open through relationships, deals flow through trust, and exponential growth happens when talented people combine their efforts toward common goals. Yet most people approach networking backward. They show up to events with business cards, trying to extract value from others. They make small talk, hoping someone will hand them an opportunity. They collect contacts like trophies, wondering why their phone never rings with life-changing offers. This transactional approach repels the very people who could transform their trajectory. Millionaire-minded people flip the script entirely. They lead with value, not need. Instead of asking what others can do for them, they constantly seek ways to serve, connect, and contribute to the success of people in their circle. They understand that influence flows to those who help others win, and opportunities gravitate toward those who make things happen for their network. The foundation of powerful networking rests on a simple principle: become the person others want to know. This means developing skills, insights, and resources that create genuine value for others. When you bring solutions instead of problems, connections instead of isolation, and results instead of excuses, people naturally want to stay connected with you. Think about the most connected person you know. They likely share certain characteristics. They remember details about others. They follow through on commitments. They make introductions that benefit both parties, and they celebrate the wins of people around them. They have become a hub of value creation, and their network reflects this reality. Building a millionaire network requires intentional curation. Not every relationship deserves the same level of investment. Your inner circle should include people who challenge your thinking, expand your possibilities, and hold you accountable to higher standards. These are people who are already where you want to be, or who are climbing towards similar summits with equal determination. The next layer consists of peers who are building alongside you. These relationships provide mutual support, shared learning, and collaborative opportunities. You grow together, share resources, and create accountability partnerships that accelerate everyone's progress. This peer group becomes your professional family, celebrating victories and supporting each other through challenges. The outer layer includes those you mentor and serve. Teaching others solidifies your own knowledge while building a foundation of goodwill. Many future opportunities come from people you helped early in their journey. The assistant you train today may become the partner who opens doors tomorrow. The person you mentor this year may introduce you to your biggest client next year. Quality trumps quantity in every aspect of relationship building. One deep, mutually beneficial relationship with the right person can transform your entire trajectory. A single introduction from a trusted connection can open doors that years of cold outreach could never crack. This reality makes every interaction an opportunity to plant seeds for future growth. Consistency separates casual acquaintances from valuable network connections. Sporadic communication creates forgettable relationships. Regular, valuable touchpoints build the trust and familiarity that lead to meaningful opportunities. This means following up after meetings, sharing relevant resources when you find them, and checking in during significant moments in others' lives. The most powerful networkers become conveners, not just connectors. They create reasons for valuable people to gather around them. This might mean hosting regular dinners for interesting individuals, organizing learning groups focused on specific topics, or creating mastermind circles where members share challenges and insights. When you become the center of valuable gatherings, your influence and opportunities multiply naturally. Value creation in relationships requires understanding what others actually need. Money is rarely the primary desire of successful people. They typically want access to new ideas, connections to the right people, solutions to specific problems, or recognition for their achievements. Listen carefully to understand these deeper needs, then position yourself to deliver them. The principle of reciprocity governs all strong relationships. When you consistently give first, others naturally want to return the favor. However, this giving must be genuine, not manipulative. People sense ulterior motives instantly. Focus on creating authentic value without keeping score, and the returns will exceed your investment in ways you cannot predict. Geographic limitations no longer constrain relationship building. The most valuable connections often span cities, countries, and continents. Virtual relationships can be just as powerful as local ones when built on genuine mutual value. The key lies in finding creative ways to serve and connect across distances. Your reputation travels faster and farther than you ever will. Every interaction shapes how others perceive and discuss you. This reality makes integrity non-negotiable and excellence your minimum standard. When people know you deliver on promises, communicate clearly, and treat others well, they become advocates for your success. Timing plays a crucial role in relationship leverage. The connection you make today may not bear fruit for months or years. Patient cultivation of relationships creates compound returns over time. Stay connected with people even when there are no immediate opportunities, because circumstances change and today's casual acquaintance may become tomorrow's perfect partner. Many people struggle with relationship building because they wait until they need help to reach out. This approach creates obvious transactional energy that repels rather than attracts. Instead, build relationships when you do not need anything. Serve others when you have abundance. Create connections when times are good. This approach ensures your network is strong before you need to rely on it. The most successful people understand that they become the average of their closest connections. If your network consists primarily of people who think small, complain often, and avoid risk. These attitudes will influence your own thinking and limit your growth. Consciously curate relationships with people whose standards, ambitions, and results inspire you to rise. Your network should include people from different industries, backgrounds, and expertise areas. This diversity creates unexpected opportunities and fresh perspectives. The solution to your business challenge might come from someone in a completely different field. The partnership opportunity you need might emerge from an unlikely connection. All relationships require maintenance. Success changes people, and your network must evolve as you grow. Some relationships that served you well early in your journey may become less relevant as your circumstances change. This natural evolution requires conscious management to ensure your network continues supporting your trajectory. The compound effect of relationships means that every connection you make has the potential to multiply. The person you meet today might introduce you to 3 valuable people next month. Each of those connections might lead to additional introductions, opportunities, or collaborations. This multiplier effect makes relationship building one of the highest leverage activities you can pursue. Your network becomes your net worth when you understand that wealth flows through relationships. Deals happen between people who trust each other. Opportunities pass through channels of connection. Resources flow to those who have built the relationships to access them. Master the art of relationship building, and you master the key that unlocks every door in your journey toward millionaire status. Schedule a monthly mastermind call with peers in your field or desired field. Commit to hosting this gathering consistently for at least 6 months. Send 5 value-first messages this week to people in your network, sharing relevant resources, making useful introductions, or offering assistance with no expectation of immediate return. 17. Energy management for high earners. The millionaire operating a 7-figure enterprise and the exhausted worker barely making ends meet often share one critical flaw. They both believe that grinding harder will solve their problems. Yet the millionaire who sustains wealth over decades understands a fundamental truth that separates temporary success from lasting prosperity. Energy, not time, is the ultimate currency. Most people manage their calendars but ignore their energy. They schedule meetings back to back, skip meals, sacrifice sleep, and wonder why their decision-making deteriorates by afternoon. They treat their bodies like machines that should run indefinitely on coffee and willpower, then act surprised when their performance crashes. This approach might work for short sprints, but wealth building is a marathon that requires sustained high performance over years, not months. The wealthy think differently about energy because they recognize it as the multiplier for every other lever in their arsenal. A high-energy person makes better decisions, communicates more persuasively, sees opportunities others miss, and maintains the persistence required to push through obstacles. Low energy, regardless of intelligence or resources, leads to poor choices, missed opportunities, and the kind of reactive thinking that keeps people stuck in cycles of financial mediocrity. Energy management begins with understanding that you have different types of energy that operate on different cycles. Physical energy provides the foundation. When your body feels strong and vital, everything else becomes easier. Mental energy determines your ability to focus, solve problems, and make complex decisions. Emotional energy affects your resilience, relationships, and ability to inspire others. Spiritual energy, often overlooked, connects you to purpose and meaning, providing the deeper motivation that sustains effort when external rewards feel distant. The first principle of energy management is recognizing your natural rhythms rather than fighting them. Most people have predictable patterns of high and low energy throughout the day, yet they schedule their most important work during their weakest hours. They answer emails during their peak thinking time and attempt creative work when their minds are foggy. Millionaire thinking means protecting your highest energy periods for your highest value activities, regardless of what others expect or when meetings typically get scheduled. Sleep becomes non-negotiable when you understand it as an investment rather than an expense. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it impairs judgment, reduces creativity, weakens emotional regulation, and literally shrinks the parts of your brain responsible for decision-making. Yet many ambitious people treat sleep as something they can optimize away. believing that 4 hours of rest proves their dedication. This thinking reveals a scarcity mindset that confuses activity with productivity. Wealthy people protect their sleep because they know that 8 hours of rest can make the following 16 hours exponentially more valuable. Morning routines matter not because they follow some magical formula, but because they establish your energetic state before the world makes demands on your attention. The first hour of your day often determines the quality of the remaining 15. Starting with intentional practices, whether that means movement, reflection, planning, or simply eating a proper meal, creates momentum that carries forward. This isn't about copying someone else's routine, but about designing practices that reliably put you in a resourceful state. Movement and strength training serve purposes far beyond physical appearance. Exercise increases mental clarity, improves stress tolerance, and provides a sense of accomplishment that builds confidence for other challenges. Regular physical activity also creates what researchers call cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch between different concepts and adapt thinking to new situations. For someone building wealth, this mental agility often makes the difference between spotting an opportunity and missing it entirely. Nutrition affects performance more than most people realize, yet it's often the first thing sacrificed when schedules get demanding. Stable blood sugar levels support stable decision-making. Proper hydration maintains mental sharpness. Real food provides the building blocks for neurotransmitters that regulate mood and motivation. Millionaire thinking means treating food as fuel for performance rather than just pleasure or convenience. This doesn't require perfect eating, but it does mean making conscious choices about how different foods affect your energy and mental state. The practice of stillness, whether through meditation, prayer, or simply quiet reflection, might seem unrelated to wealth building, but it serves several crucial functions. First, it provides space to process information and insights that get lost in constant activity. Second, it develops your ability to remain calm under pressure, a skill essential for making good decisions during stressful situations. Third, it helps you distinguish between urgent and important, preventing the kind of reactive behavior that wastes energy on low-value activities. Strategic planning and weekly reviews prevent the energy drain that comes from constantly making decisions about what to work on next. When you have clarity about priorities and systems for executing them, you eliminate the mental fatigue that comes from repeatedly choosing between options. This is why wealthy people often appear to have simple, even boring routines. They've automated the small decisions to preserve mental energy for the big ones. Setting boundaries becomes essential as your income and responsibilities grow. Every opportunity that comes your way isn't necessarily worth pursuing. Every person who wants your time doesn't deserve access to it. Learning to say no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones requires both clarity about your goals and the energy to maintain your standards when pressure mounts. Low energy makes you more likely to agree to commitments you'll later regret. The concept of energy management extends to your environment and the people you spend time with. Cluttered spaces create mental clutter. Toxic relationships drain emotional resources. Constant noise and distractions fragment attention. Millionaire thinking means deliberately designing your physical and social environment to support rather than drain your energy. This might mean investing in a better workspace, ending relationships that consistently leave you depleted, or simply keeping your phone in another room during focused work periods. Recovery periods aren't luxuries, but necessities for sustained high performance. Just as muscles need rest to grow stronger, your mind and nervous system need downtime to consolidate learning and restore capacity. This means building actual rest into your schedule, not just hoping you'll find time for it. It means taking real vacations where you disconnect from work rather than just changing locations while staying tethered to your phone. It means recognizing that rest is productive because it enables future performance. The weekly planning session becomes a cornerstone practice for maintaining high energy over time. This involves more than just scheduling tasks. It requires honestly assessing your energy levels, identifying what drained you the previous week, and making adjustments to prevent similar depletion. It means looking ahead at your commitments and ensuring you have adequate recovery time built in. It means saying no to new requests that would overload your capacity, even when those requests seem urgent to others. Understanding the relationship between stress and performance helps you calibrate challenges appropriately. Some stress enhances performance by increasing focus and motivation. Too much stress impairs judgment and leads to poor decisions. Too little stress results in complacency and missed growth opportunities. Millionaire thinking means learning to recognize your optimal stress level and making adjustments when you notice yourself moving into either extreme. Energy management also involves recognizing the cost of context. Switching. Every time you shift from one type of activity to another, you lose energy in the transition. Checking email between deep work sessions, taking phone calls during creative time, or jumping between different projects throughout the day creates an invisible tax on your mental resources. Batching similar activities and protecting blocks of time for single types of work preserves energy and improves the quality of output. The practice becomes installing a non-negotiable morning routine that puts you in a resourceful state and protecting one full day per week from meetings and external demands. Your morning routine might take 30 minutes or 2 hours, but it should consistently include elements that strengthen your physical energy, clear your mental space, and connect you to your deeper purposes. Your protected day allows for deep work, strategic thinking, and the kind of reflection that gets squeezed out when every day fills with other people's priorities. Energy management, for high earners, isn't about perfection or rigid self-discipline. It's about treating your energy as the valuable resource it is and making conscious choices about how to invest it. When you manage energy well, you naturally make better decisions, maintain higher standards, and sustain the kind of performance that builds lasting wealth. When you ignore energy management, you might achieve short-term success, but you'll struggle to maintain it over the years required to build true financial freedom. 18. The 90-Day Millionaire Sprint. Everything you've learned in this book converges into one powerful truth. Millionaire thinking without millionaire action produces nothing. You can upgrade your mind all day long, but until you ship something tangible into the world, your upgraded operating system remains theoretical. This chapter gives you a concrete plan to transform 17 chapters of frameworks into 90 days of measurable progress. Think of this as your millionaire boot camp. Not the leisurely kind where you contemplate possibilities, but the intense kind where you build real assets, make real offers, and generate real results. The beauty of a sprint lies in its urgency. When you compress ambitious goals into short time frames, you eliminate the luxury of perfection paralysis. You're forced to ship, test, and iterate rather than plan indefinitely. Most people approach income growth like they approach fitness. They start with enthusiasm, make elaborate plans, then lose momentum when results don't appear instantly. They treat it like a marathon when they should treat it like 3 connected sprints. Each sprint has one primary objective: clear metrics and a forcing function that demands visible progress. Your first sprint focuses entirely on building. This isn't about perfecting your offer or creating the world's most elegant system. This is about taking your knowledge, experience, and skills and packaging them into something another human being would pay money to receive. Whether that's a service, a product, a course, or a consultation, doesn't matter nearly as much as the act of creating something purchasable. During these first 30 days, you simultaneously build your offer and build your audience. Every day you publish something valuable. Every day you add people to your world. Every day you make your expertise more visible to the marketplace. This isn't about going viral or becoming famous. This is about proving to yourself and to potential buyers that you consistently deliver value. The mistake most people make is building in secret. They craft perfect offers behind closed doors, then wonder why nobody buys when they finally launch. Your first sprint reverses this approach. You build in public, sharing your process, your insights, and your journey. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. 30 days of consistent, valuable content accelerates that relationship faster than any advertisement ever could. By day 30, you should have 3 things: a clear offer with defined outcomes and pricing, a growing list of people who consume your content regularly, and a simple system for capturing and nurturing potential buyers. None of these need to be perfect. They just need to exist and function. Your second sprint shifts entirely to selling. This is where most smart people stumble because they've been conditioned to believe that selling is somehow beneath them or inherently manipulative. This limiting belief costs them more money than every other mistake combined. Selling is simply the process of helping people make decisions that improve their lives. The next 30 days become an intensive sales education. You make 100 direct contacts with potential buyers. You have 20 meaningful conversations about your offer. You hear every possible objection and develop responses that address real concerns rather than deflect them. You learn to ask for money without apology because you know the value you provide exceeds the price you charge. This sprint teaches you something invaluable about the relationship between effort and results. You discover that income often comes not from working harder on your craft, but from getting more comfortable with the conversations that turn expertise into transactions. Every rejection teaches you something. Every objection reveals a gap in your positioning or messaging. Every sale proves your value and builds confidence for the next conversation. Most importantly, this sprint breaks the poverty pattern of hoping people will discover your value accidentally. You learn to actively present your solutions to people who need them. You practice the fundamental millionaire skill of asking directly for what you want rather than hoping circumstances align magically in your favor. Your third sprint focuses on scaling what works and eliminating what doesn't. By day 60, you have real data about what resonates with buyers and what falls flat. You know which content generates engagement and which gets ignored. You understand which aspects of your offer create the most value and which feel unnecessary to buyers. This final 30-day period is about multiplication rather than addition. Instead of doing more things, you do the right things more systematically. You automate delivery where possible. You delegate tasks that don't require your specific expertise. You test simple paid methods for reaching more of the people who are most likely to buy from you. Scaling doesn't mean becoming a huge operation overnight. It means taking the profitable activities from your first 60 days and creating systems that allow them to happen more predictably and with less direct effort from you. This might mean hiring someone to handle administrative tasks so you can focus on sales conversations. It might mean creating templates and processes that make delivery more efficient. It might mean setting up simple automation that nurtures potential buyers while you sleep. The magic of this 90-day structure is how it forces you to confront the 3 core challenges that keep most people stuck at their current income level. The courage to put something valuable into the marketplace, the skill to have confident conversations about money, and the systems thinking to create processes that work without constant manual effort. Each sprint builds on the previous one while developing a different muscle. Building develops your creative confidence and your ability to package value. Selling develops your communication skills and your comfort with money conversations. Scaling develops your systems thinking and your ability to work on your business rather than just in it. The timeline matters because it prevents the perfectionist paralysis that kills most good intentions. 30 days is long enough to create something meaningful, but short enough that you can't get lost in endless refinement. 90 days is long enough to see real results, but short enough that you can maintain intense focus without burning out. By day 90, you'll have something most people never develop: proof that you can create income on demand. You'll have a tested offer, a proven sales process, and a systematic approach to finding and serving customers. More importantly, you'll have the confidence that comes from knowing you can build and scale income-generating assets regardless of external circumstances. This sprint rewires your relationship with money at the deepest level. Instead of seeing income as something that happens to you based on external factors like bosses, markets, or economic conditions, you see it as something you create through the systematic application of value creation, relationship building, and problem solving. The person who completes this 90-day sprint thinks differently about opportunity, risk, and possibility than the person who started it. They've proven to themselves that millionaire-level income is not about luck, connections, or circumstances. It's about the willingness to build something valuable, the courage to offer it confidently, and the persistence to improve the process until it works reliably. Your upgraded mind finally has upgraded results to match. The frameworks become lived experience. The concepts become capabilities. The theory becomes your new reality. Start your first sprint tomorrow. The world is waiting for what you have to offer.